Hey, what's up, guys? Nick Major here, APTV correspondent. I recently met up with the Somerset to chat about their brand new album, Stories for Monday, their near breakup, and plenty more, so stay tuned to see what they had to say.
We are dressed up because 6 months ago this was our funeral, and now we're actually here to remind ourselves that we're still a band.
So now this is like the wedding.
Yeah, this is the Somerset wedding.
So yeah, speaking of that, so you guys tomorrow, your new CD drops, Stories for Monday, but a few months back, it seems like you guys didn't think these songs would ever see the light of day.
Yeah, pretty true. It was a very long album process. For a while, it was a very lost, apathetic album process where we just weren't really sure what we were doing. John's drinking because it's reminding him of how sad he was. It was just a long process, and we kind of weren't really sure where a lot of it was going at times. And then at one point in September of last year, it hit such a roadblock that we sat down as a band and thought that maybe this had run its course and that maybe it was time to hang it up. But we should at least take the songs we have, produce it ourselves, a la John and Steven, and put the record out as a farewell and thank you to our fans. And thank God it happened, because we were able to stop thinking so much and let our guard down, and we finished the record and we went back and listened to it and realized how proud we were of what we had done. We made the album between, I guess, beginning of October and Thanksgiving, and then about 2 days after Thanksgiving we decided, oh, this album's good, let's keep doing this. Also, we were about 48 hours away from actually announcing that we were breaking up when we realized we were not going to break up. Josh wasn't in the band at this point. Josh had actually left to go back to school, and it was actually Josh actually kind of got the band back together as an outside perspective. We sent Josh the record, and Josh was like, oh my God, why are you guys breaking up? And then we kind of helped convince him that he should come back to the band even after a 6 month hiatus.
I spent a semester in Arizona going to college. I got to just reflect on everything we've done, and I was never bitter or jaded. Every memory has always been a positive one. Like, in my heart, I was okay with things ending. I was like, we did it. Like, we've really lived a great legacy as a band. But I remember going to John and Steven's house with no intention of this band being rescued, and even John was like, I'm still in denial, and I'm like, oh, poor John, you'll get through it. And by the time I left their house, I was like, we're fucking doing this.
I just spent that whole time being in denial. I cried at that. We met up at a bar, and that was the day that we decided, hey, maybe this has run its course, and then drove home crying. I actually had put our album on because I wanted to listen to the songs. It was for me the most traumatic experience.
It's been a big part. It's big. It's the greatest adventure of our lives so far.
You guys produced the album. Was this the first album that you guys solely produced? You didn't bring out any outsiders?
There was one song that was outside produced, and then a little co-production here and there, things that we took from
other people's
demos and stuff that were sent to us. But this is the first attempt of Steven and I to produce any record, let alone a Somerset record.
How did that feel for you guys? Was that pretty natural? Is that something you've learned how to kind of naturally do after being in a band for
I think it was a natural extension of just being a musician. I think as a musician, eventually you just get bored of just playing your instrument, and eventually you want to just learn how to record music and maybe make records. For this record, we were demoing songs just out of our home studio, and we started sending them out in emails, and we all started listening to the mixes, and we were just kind of like, I don't really know who else to take these to. These kind of sound like they're done.
There was definitely a silver lining in how long it took to make the record, because I think if we would have gone right into making the album right after we finished Warped Tour a couple of years ago, they probably wouldn't have produced this. But in that year and a half kind of breather we took, they got very good at what they were doing in the studio, and I think that helped kind of drive this record into production.
And it was great because we started our band recording in John and Steven's house in Arizona when we were teenagers. That was the first thing we had ever done together, and so it's kind of a nice full circle where we come back and I'm recording drums back to the roots. I'm recording drums in their living room out here in Van Nuys, California, and he's recording vocals in a closet, right? It was bare bones, but it was great.
I actually had a rule on this record that I was like, I don't want a single acoustic instrument on this entire album. Yeah, on our last
first record we've ever made that doesn't have a single.
There's not a single acoustic guitar on this record. That was a rule of mine, and no, it was cool though to be able to listen to something we did, maybe drive around with it in the car for a few weeks, or and then after hearing the song for a while, be like, I think we should maybe go back and add what this verse or chorus. It was cool to be able to sit with them for a while and go in and make those changes ourselves, and not have to be at the mercy of a producer who's we've used
certainly a virtue.
Yeah, normal producer would be like, you've taken my time, you've paid for what you've gotten, and that's it. It was nice to be able to go back and change things.
There was no more rules. Like, we just did whatever we wanted. Like, Change Your Mind is my favorite song on the album, and I wrote on it, but Steven and John produced it. And I remember when I heard it for the first time, I was like, there's not a single guitar, my instrument, on the entire track except for the solo bridge. And I was like, and I think Steven and John looked at me like, is he pissed? I was like, this is awesome! This is awesome! So yeah, like, it took like things breaking to be able to reform, and I'm amped about it.
So what are you going to be doing during those songs live? Are you going to be dancing around until that
Oh
solo
no,
comes out,
I'm
or-
just gonna.
Definitely, we'll rock those out even more live.
Yeah, it'll be great.
That's kind of been like the Somerset live element, is like, the records are a little more polished and like planned out and production heavy, yeah. But when we go live, it's like big guitars, big drums. Like, we make it into a rock show.
Mhm. So did you guys know how you're going to be transferring all the songs from the CD live right now, or is that something?
It's actually been really easy.
It's been very easy.
Because I think these songs are the songs are the most concise songs, and the recordings are the most concise recordings. It's actually been super easy so far to bring some of them to life, and we've brought a couple of them to life already, and it's actually been way easier than we thought.
The first song that you guys dropped from this, was that back in January when you guys dropped the music video for Figure Me Out?
Yes.
So why was that the first song that you guys decided to drop off of this album?
I feel like it's a pretty obvious first representation of, hey, we're back. It's been 3 years since we put out music. Here's the most honest song about where we're at as 5 people in their mid-20s as we could possibly present to you. I think it was the most just like open book, like, hey, you know what? Here's everything you could possibly say about me, and I'm just going to say it about
So
myself.
I was going to say, those lyrics were just literally no hold back. They were just as bold as like you could make them for the message.
Anything you could say about myself or say about us as a band, I'm just going to say it for us so that it clears the table, and that now all the rules are out the window, and now I just feel like we can do whatever we want.
Lyrically, is this album then, does it touch on some more personal stuff than ever before? Like,
I'd say it's the most personal record. Bipolar love songs like Missing You, there's nostalgic songs like Jean Jacket. There are just honest songs about figuring out who we are, like Figure Me Out. There's songs about that are essentially a course history of our band, like Wasted. There's songs like All Downhill From Here that to me is the song about like the state of the world and just being okay with where I'm at, and even if everything goes to hell, I think I finally figured it out. There's a lot going on in this album.
so I gotta ask, so the name for this album, it's obviously something like, it sounds like it's talking about the weekend or something, or when I heard it, I thought maybe it was Monday was a term for after the band, and the weekend was the existence of the band.
Somewhere in between.
It's literally the best put I've
I mean,
heard
in
it.
theory,
That's how we wrapped
we
it up at
had.
the end to make sense.
I guess I had the idea of the album name even in the time period where we were still broken up. So I guess that is certainly a way to think about it. I think it was just a way to signify the end of something and the beginning of something new. At the end of either way, whether we broke up or whether we are sitting here right in front of you with our album coming out in an hour, this is the beginning of a new thing. Something, when we sat down at Laurel Tavern in Studio City and said we were breaking up, that band definitely, that band is definitely a different band than we are today. So I think this album signifies a fresh start, the end of something great and the beginning of something new.
So the band, what's the mindset, the goal, the plan right now? As of now, is it just you're gonna take it and see what happens?
It's wonderful to be new again and not necessarily have any expectations and just get to go on the road and play a bunch of songs for a lot of our fans.
You can see people literally walking into this party. So we're gonna go join this party. We got.
It's actually we're actually getting like phased out right now, like it's the Oscars.
All right, guys, we're being told to leave. This speech has gone on for too long.
Music is actually phasing us out right now.
Pick up the new album, guys. Stories for Monday from the Somerset 2016. Gonna be a great year for these guys.